Does vaping cause lung injury? Sanjay, it's really good to have this chance to talk to you. Can you tell us a little bit about your experience in this field?
So I am a respiratory and intensive care doctor, and I've been a consultant now for over 20 years. And I see the effects of tobacco smoking in my everyday clinical practice. I see people who've got lung cancer, other lung diseases, aneurysms, heart attacks, strokes, all of the complications that we see with tobacco smoking. So I've become very interested in trying to help people stop using tobacco. And vaping is one way that causes much less harm than tobacco and offers a way out to people who are addicted to smoking tobacco.
And do you want to tell us a little bit about your work with the Royal College of Physicians?
Yes, so the Royal College of Physicians is an organisation that was set up over 500 years ago by physicians, and its sole purpose is to improve the health of the nation. Now, as part of that group, they have a tobacco advisory group that advises the college and policymakers on how best to reduce the harm from tobacco. So I chair that group and I provide advice to the Royal College of Physicians about tobacco.
So, Sanjay, we heard a lot a couple of years ago about young vapers in America being rushed to the emergency room, some deaths even, from what was called e-cigarette and vaping related lung injury, EVALI. What was all that about?
So in the United States, that was a particular situation in which certain manufacturers had added vitamin E acetate to the e-cigarettes, which when the vapors inhaled, it caused a adverse lung reaction, causing lung injury to the user. And sadly, many thousands of people were affected, and some were admitted to hospital and some died from that condition. Now, thankfully, in the UK, we have much stricter laws and regulations about the content of e-cigarettes, and we did not see that UK. And in fact, across the world, we did not see that.
Well, you say we did not see it, but aren't we seeing it now? Didn't we have some data come out quite recently about lung injury in the UK?
Yes. So if you actually look at the statistics, the vast majority of harm to the lungs from nicotine-containing products actually comes from tobacco. So actually, there were about 7,000 admissions of children in the United Kingdom who had been exposed to passive smoke exposure from tobacco, making their asthma worse. And if you compare that, there was only 40 admissions in the same age bands of people who vape. So it's very clear to me that for each person that might be admitted due to vaping, there's well over 100 who are admitted related to exposure to tobacco smoke.
Oh, well, hold on a second. 7,000 kids? Because that's not like the long-term harms of smoking. These are kids exposed to secondhand smoke, and that happens quite quickly, right?
Yeah, so the problem with acute exposure to tobacco smoke is it can trigger things like asthma. It can also cause other things like malaria infections. It can, if you trigger your asthma and you have airway inflammation, you might also get pneumonia. So there are lots and lots of risks to inhaled tobacco smoke. And lots of children, unfortunately, live in households where their parents smoke, and therefore they're constantly exposed to this harm. But it's important to think about how that compares to vaping-related harms. And really, it's a drop in the ocean in comparison to tobacco smoke exposure.
So secondhand vape isn't a problem? Is that what you're saying?
So, well, firstly, secondhand vape, if you study the chemicals in vape effluent, as it were, vape smoke, or however you want to call it, there's actually very few chemicals. There's very little nicotine. So you're much less likely to come to harm from what's in vape rather than tobacco smoke.
Yeah, because in England, smoking is still the biggest killer, and it actually kills one person in England every 7 minutes, and one hospital admission down to smoking every minute. How does that compare with vaping?
Tobacco smoke and being addicted to tobacco is a gigantic problem still in the UK. We have over 6.5 million smokers, 2/3 of whom will die from smoking. Vaping, however, causes a tiny, tiny fraction. For each person who's admitted with vaping-related harm potentially, there's over 1,000 people admitted with tobacco-related harm. So we know, therefore, that vaping is much safer than tobacco smoking. And really the focus should be on the harm caused by tobacco. That's the real problem for our society.
Okay, Sanjay, so vaping causes lung injury, true or false?
False. There are 4.7 million people who use vapes in the United Kingdom, we estimate. And, I work in an intensive care unit, and I'm yet to see a vaping related lung injury from those 4.7 million people.
Wow. Okay, so if I've got this right then, you said 2 out of 3 smokers will die from smoking if they don't quit. And there's no evidence that vaping causes lung injury on that scale at all. Is that about right?
That's exactly right.
Thanks, Sanjay. Always great to talk to you. Speak soon.
Thank you.